people ask you, I don't know what my goal is?
Yeah, quite a lot. Most people don't write their goals down. So most goals are actually ideas in people's heads. And the first thing you've got to do is write it down for it to become real. The biggest one this time of year for a lot of people is around losing weight.
Are you serious? It's good to know it's a universal problem. When somebody approaches you that Emma, I want a life coach in my life, what kind of questions you want people to ask you before you say yes to them? Emma Bewes with us. Hi, Emma. Emma is in.
Hi, Shruti. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you. Emma is in London right now, and it's 10:30 there in the morning, 11 o'clock maybe, and
10.
10. Emma is she's a results coach, and she helps people, achieve their goals, accomplish their dreams. She is really, really an amazing mentor, amazing coach. And Emma, thank you so much again for being with us.
Oh, thank you for that wonderful introduction.
And you look so pretty, so beautiful.
Oh, so do you. And for those of you that don't know, this is the first time we've met
Yes,
over Zoom in person.
yes, we have been talking for the past 1 year, and this is the first time that we are seeing each other. So my heart is like so full right now. Emma, tell me, what is coaching? What is life coaching?
Yeah, great question, because that's what I get asked a lot.
Yes.
People, people know what a sports coach is. Okay, that's sports coaching's been around for many, many years. And that's where there's a coach working with a team of people and helping them to be their best. And that's basically what coaching is. But when it comes to life coaching, it's about being able to see your clients 360-degree view, objectively. Okay. Whereas, most of us, and I include myself because I too am a client as well as a coach. And what we're doing is we can probably see about 180 degrees of our life. Okay. And so there's a whole other world of our life that we're not seeing, we're not focused on. And a coach will help you to be able to see that kind of where the gap is between where you are and where you want to be. And to help you unlock your thoughts and beliefs and ideas to help you move in that direction. So it's very much about looking forward and not looking backwards. In coaching, we don't spend a lot of time digging deep into the past, trying to understand that. It's more the present and moving forward.
Oh, okay. So that's why it is different. That's how it is different from therapy, because therapy, I think you dig deep on a lot of things, but coaching is like very goal oriented.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And how is a results coach different from a life coach, or is it the same thing which is used in a different way?
So it's very, it's similar. It's just the results is that's what I'm focused on. That's
Okay.
what I'm focused on in our sessions, is getting you the results that you want. Okay. And that whereas life coaching is probably the same, but there is just a stronger focus in what I do in terms of making sure that you're clear on your goals. Great for this time of year. You're clear on your goals and you're clear on where you're getting stuck, and how to move forward.
Emma, do you also get this question? Because I don't know, sometimes I feel that in my life, and I think we talked about it also. Do people ask you, I don't know what my goal is?
Yeah, quite a lot. Or the other thing is people think they know their goals, in terms of quite often people are very unclear, but they have an idea. So they might say something along the lines of, I want to be much more peaceful in my life.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, it's a goal, but how do you measure that? What actions are you going to take in order to achieve that?
Hmm.
And most people don't write their goals down. So most goals are actually ideas. in people's heads. Okay.
Okay.
So you keep this little narrative going in your head around, I'm going to achieve this year, I'm going to achieve that this year, and then not writing it down. And the first thing you've got to do is write it down for it to become real.
Wow, wow. So it means that we underestimate the power of writing.
And that can be on technology. It doesn't need to be handwritten. I love handwriting. For me, it just makes it kind of clears my brain out more than typing. Because I
Yeah.
spend too much time on the computer. So I like to handwrite it. It definitely gets it out of me
Write
more.
your goals. Write your goals. Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
write them
think
down.
them in your head.
Yeah, write them down. That's the first bit.
Okay. And then when people say that I don't know what my goal is, then definitely your work increases because now you have to delve deep into what
Yeah,
they really want, right? And
yes,
and
exactly.
then are you able to bring that out when people are
Yeah,
unclear?
yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it's by asking great questions,
Hmm.
and helping, the difference, I guess, between coaching and a friend doing it. Friends are great. I've got lots of friends and they're great and they help me, but they're not always objective. And in terms of my clients, I generally don't know them that well, and I don't. This can sound odd, but I don't need to know them that well,
Yeah.
because I know that there are certain types of questions and that will help unlock them and get clarity on what it is that they really want.
Tell our audience, Emma, why should they have a life coach? Because people sometimes,
I
people
think everyone should have a life coach.
yes, why should they have a life coach? Because sometimes, people, and I think it took me also time to accept this fact that I need a mentor in my life. I need somebody. People think, oh, I'll deal with it myself. I can do it myself. Come on, how is it possible that I need somebody to tell me what I want, or what do I want to? So why do you think, what is happening actually in the real life that people are not doing, that they need a life coach or a results coach?
So let me share a bit about my journey into life coaching. And, because as I kind of alluded to earlier, I was doing things by myself, right, for many years, because to be honest, I hadn't heard of coaching other than in sports world in terms of life coaching. It's not something that hit my radar. And when I first got a coach, it was a health and fitness coach. So I was very keen on, changing that. And I met a great guy, and it was like, whoa, oh, okay. If without him, I wouldn't have moved so quickly towards my health and fitness goals. Okay. I probably would have still been hating the gym, hating running, although I'm still, a little bit on the fence about running. But and I wouldn't have had the knowledge. I could spend time on the internet looking at all the different resources, and believe you me, as anyone else that knows that search for fitness and health ideas, it's full of knowledge out there.
Yes.
So for me, engaging in coaching, it just helped me to get a lot faster, understand myself a lot more. Because one of the things our brains are great at doing is really, convincing us
Hmm.
of the things that really keep us safe and comfortable, right? That point, that bit in the morning where part of your brain is going, I want to get out of bed and do a morning routine. The stronger part, without a coach, is I'm staying in bed and I'm not getting up.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I
So
think,
for me,
sorry, yeah, so for you.
it's about blind spots. We all have blind spots. And a good coach will spot those blind spots and, work with you on them about how to change them. And, sometimes it's just about small 2 millimeter shifts,
Yes.
every day, done every day,
Yes.
that then leads to more confidence and more growth and faster than doing it by yourself.
Yeah, I think I'm also, when I'm talking to you, I'm also getting to this thing that uh, there are a lot of things which a coach would do, but I think the most important thing is make you take the action.
But yeah. That's it. Because, you know, there's no point in having an action plan if you don't take action. It's just a plan. You know, and that's absolutely key to it. And that's one of the things that we resist the most is taking that uncomfortable action, because quite often it is uncomfortable.
It is
And yeah, you can have all the best written plans in the world, but if you don't take any action, it's just on a piece of paper or in your head. So a coach will also help you to, you know, push you a little bit. Sometimes gently, sometimes more harsh, depending on what the client needs.
Yes.
And you know, and that's where the real change starts, is when people start taking action. So they get out of their heads and into their hearts and minds and body.
So when somebody approaches you that, Emma, I want a life coach in my life, what kind of questions you want people to ask you before you say yes to them?
Oh, to ask me. Oh, interesting. Okay. So I think it's important connection. You know, one of our biggest human needs is about love and connection. Okay. But particularly I'm going to focus on the connection part. And when you're picking out a coach that you want to work with, it's about really getting to know each other very quickly. Do you feel comfortable with that person? Do you feel safe with that person? Do you feel that that person is going to give you what you need? Because we're all different. We're all different. And, you know, that's why there's lots of different coaches in the world, because there's lots of different people in the world, and you've got to find the right match for you. Okay. And everyone's got slightly different styles. So, you know, some people like a more direct style, some people are a more kind of gentle style. And so a few of the things that, you know, a new client can do is jump on a free strategy call, okay, and have some idea of what it is that they're looking for. So in other words, ask the person, what is life coaching? If you don't know, ask them. And are you connecting with their answer? Does that sound like something you want at that moment? But the challenge is always as well, if you're feeling the resistance, what is that resistance about within you? You know, because we can make up stories about that resistance and that discomfort, you know. So it might be, you know, what I really need from a client is openness and honesty. Okay. I'm not a magician. I'm not a magician. Damn it. If I was, I'd be, you know, billion trillionaire, bigger than Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. But I'm not a magician. So, you know, what is really important is that clients are prepared to be open and honest. Now, I'm not saying that in the first 30 minutes of, you know, your first strategy session with someone, but it's about that. Am I willing to be open and honest with this person? Am I willing to share with this person my deepest thoughts and confessions? You know, when you don't take that action, am I feeling safe enough to be able to share with this person, right? Because when clients aren't honest, they don't make the progress.
That makes progress. Yeah.
They don't make the progress. That, you know, they might be saying to their coach, "Oh, I'm doing actions," when they're not. Well, what's the point of that? You know, because you're just not being honest and truthful with yourself, let alone with the coach.
So when sometimes people are scared, they are like, oh my God, then if I have a coach, I have to tell them all the things about myself, and I don't want to, I don't want to go down that road. What you are saying is that you don't have to do that in the first meeting, but the approach should be that slowly, gradually, I need to be honest with my coach.
Yes, definitely. I mean, ultimately, it's being honest with yourself. That's, you know, because if you can't be honest with your coach, you're not being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, absolutely. It's not necessarily even in the first couple of sessions, you know, some people are just straight on it. And, you know, some people are very clear on what they want. But actually they have a coach in their life because it again speeds them up and gets them moving quicker and gets them motivated and get that momentum going even faster. Okay. And then other people take more time, and that's okay too. Like, you know, the coach should be working to understand your world, to be a safe space, to be your biggest supporter, you know, to be pushing you as hard as you want it to be pushed, and keeping tabs on your goals and your aims and what, you know, are you moving forward or are you still stuck? And if so, what's preventing you from moving forward? So, and you know, one of the big questions is always like, what experience do you have? And you know, that's a question that people ask, and that's a great question to ask. And you know, from my perspective, you know, personally for me, I started life as a mental health nurse. And so was always interested in psychology, and it was a great grounding, and that for working with people, you know, people that were very unwell, and some less so. So there's a whole range of spectrum of people I work with. And then I kind of moved into social services, and then I went into management and became involved in health and social care. And so I've always had a love of people. You know, I love working with people. They're fascinating. They're you know, complex, they're easy, you know, and sometimes you never know the impact as a coach, you never know the impact you've had on someone's life, you know. And then some, you know, some point out of the blue, you get a message. You get a message from someone saying, do you know, I've done this since we last spoke, which might have been 18 months ago or whatever. This is what I've done in my life. And it's the most rewarding moment is, you know, when the clients are making progress, when they are, you know, really getting to overcome lots of psychological barriers.
Yes.
And making, you know, making their lives better. There's no better reward. One of my biggest missions is to end loneliness, you know, because so many people are really suffering with feeling alone. And I've been, you know, I'm a human being. I've been through that kind of period of my life as well, where, you know, I really felt like I had no one, even though I had friends and things like that. But I just, you know, my mindset was I had no one, and I was alone. And, you know, part of that was true. I was alone with my own thoughts. And, you know, so having that person in your corner, you know,
Yes.
is just such a wonderful support, and such a wonderful way of overcoming those thoughts, and, you know, finding different ways. So, you know, I'm not saying that I'm perfect and that I never have those thoughts, but if that thought comes up now, I know what to do. I've got strategies. I know what to change in my life, or, you know, that I need to do a bit of exercise. I need to get out of the house, and, you know, whatever it is. But I've got that in my toolbox now.
Yeah. Emma, I that's a very important point that you said right now, and I had no idea I would ask you about this. But really, loneliness, I think, it's kind of a pandemic, right? It's like, you know, like you said, you know, we all have friends, we all have, you know, different relationships. um I don't know if I, you know, like, I would really like to know, because people do say, you know, that I'm lonely, or I'm, you know, I'm not able to share with anybody else. And of course, you know, we know that not everybody will be able to afford a life coach. So, can I ask you, like, why people feel lonely, right? Even though we are in a social setting, and what can they do? What kind of questions they should ask themselves to get out of it?
Yeah. Well, the big question about why are people lonely is, again, it's that, you know, it's very much about the individual. There are many reasons why people feel lonely. But I would say overall, with my experience, is that people get lonely when they get locked in their thoughts in their head, and they're not sharing it, and they're not expressing it to even their friends, you know, and they're not expressing how they're really feeling for fear of judgment, or can't be vulnerable, have this kind of identity about themselves, you know, that people aren't going to understand me if I open up. And, you know, maybe they've had experiences as well of, you know, trying to open up and people have shut them down, or just gone, oh, you'll be all right, you know, that old chestnut. So I think, you know, that can be a big factor in terms of what the thoughts are going around in someone's head that
Okay.
they're not expressing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. And
And
then,
so that, yeah, so the sort of things that they can ask themselves is, what can I do today to feel connected to someone?
I love it. What can I do
Yeah.
today to feel
Or
connected?
it might not even be someone, it might be themselves.
Mm,
What can I do today to feel connected? Maybe that's, that's probably better. And that might be, I just need to go, a lot of people are home working now. And so actually leaving the house is important. If it's just to just go for a walk, just connect with a bit of nature, you know. Or go in a coffee shop. I love coffee shops. I love coffee shops. And when I'm able to work from a coffee shop, I'm not talking to anyone when I'm in there, but just that sense of buzz and stuff going on around me makes me feel connected,
yes.
you know. Um, and the other question, the kind of deeper question to ask yourself is, what am I not expressing?
Okay.
What am I not expressing?
Expressing. Yeah, because sometimes I think people are creative. Sometimes people are creative and they're not expressing themselves even creatively. Like I think it's not just about talking to somebody. It's also about being connected to your own self. Like what you like some people like want to sing, dance, and they will not do it, right? Because they will just feel that, oh, I'm not singing properly, or like I'm just talking about the very basic thing,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, those things that just, even putting on a bit of music.
Yes.
Sometimes I have to remind myself to put on a bit of music. I'm like, oh, it feels very quiet around here. Oh, put on a bit of music, Have a
Yes.
little wiggle. Sing, like you say, sing as if no one's listening, which hopefully they're not, but
Emma, that's why I like you. You ask the best questions. I mean, this is such a simple question, right? Like, what can I do today to feel connected? And then so many ideas, so many thoughts can come to your mind, and then you need to take action.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. Because there's no point, oh well, I need to do, well, I need to go for a walk and then sitting, well, that's not going to change anything, is it?
Yeah, that's not gonna take it.
But
Okay,
we do it.
but
Yeah,
we
we do it. We do
but
we
we
do that crazy stuff.
do you think that like you said, our brain wants to keep us safe, and that's why sometimes we don't take action because somewhere our brain is always trying to keep us safe. So what kind of questions we should be asking our brain so that we can
Mm,
come out of that?
yeah. So there's been lots of books and podcasts and things on this. So there's lots of experts in this field. What I like to say to myself and my clients is that we have a part of our brain which is the original part of our brain. It was the brain that was keeping us safe, quite rightly so. When we weren't having nice houses and and keeping warm, and there's still parts of the world that are still very much like that. They're still living in very basic conditions, and the threat of whether that's a tiger or a lion or whatever is still very real. Okay. And that part of our brain was developed to keep us safe, and quite rightly so. So it would tell us when we were hungry and when we needed to, go out and hunt animals, but also, oh my God, don't leave the cave because there's a lot of things out there at the moment. But obviously our brains have developed over time, and but that part is still there, and it's still a little voice within us. So you can call it the little mind, you can call it your chimp brain, you can call it whatever you want, but it's basically, I mean, my sister, she calls it her housemate, right?
Right.
She has a housemate, and the housemate can be really useful. So the housemate can really kind of just challenge your thoughts a little bit. So sometimes it's good to listen to it, but not necessarily take action on it. Other times it's good to say to it, thank you for letting me know that you want to keep me safe, but I've got this and I know what I'm doing. So you're accessing that different part of your brain, the part of you, really, the you that is the action taker, that knows what they want, that goes for what they want, without yeah, with some intrepidation, of course. You're doing something new, you're doing something different. But
Yes.
it's about just letting that little part of your brain know that you've got it. And thank you for the warning. but actually you're going to move forward anyway because there's no saber-toothed tiger about to jump up on you.
So don't give in. Don't give in to that thought of inaction.
Listen to it.
Listen to it.
Listen to it.
So
Because
listen.
I think, quite often we can repress it. We can, that's half the battle, is listening too much to it and sometimes not even acknowledging it that it's there. And so that can cause, emotions to be, hidden and not expressed. And that leads to a whole host of different other issues.
So if I want to do something and my brain says, no, 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 what will happen? Maybe what will somebody think? Or, what is this? Nobody around you is doing that. Why are you doing it? Then I should listen to it and I should say, thank you, thank you for letting me know. But now I'll just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, okay, there might be a bit of truth. Maybe people are judging you. Maybe people, so what? You're on your path. This is your life. You want to take the actions that you want to do without worrying about other people. I mean, I'm not saying that you go and murder someone. I'm talking about great actions here.
Yes,
So,
that is also important.
sometimes you need to listen to it.
Not anything illegal, huh? No drugs, no murdering.
No illegals, no, nothing like that. But in terms of things that are going to make you grow. So, for example, speaking in public, there was always a big one. And I don't mind sharing, with you that for me, that can be really difficult because I'm naturally someone that gets my energy from spending a bit of time on my own. And so I need, my little brain goes into overdrive when it's like, oh my God, you're not going to be good enough. People aren't going to understand you. You're going to go red in the face. All this negative noise, all because the brain thinks I'm going to endanger by going and standing on the stage, which, without swearing, it's BS. It's a belief system. And it's not true. And one of the things I know through, and sometimes it is practice. There was a really great quote yesterday that appeared on, I think it's my Facebook profile, and it was saying that you don't learn to drive by sitting in a parked car.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to go out
So
there.
you have to go out there, and the more you do it, the better you become at it. Mainly.
Yes.
So, quite often our brain doesn't like it when we're learning something new. It feels like it's changing something in us, and we might lose people, or whatever it is. The fear pops up, and actually, by taking the action, that's where the growth is. That's where the confidence starts building, because it's never as bad as you imagine it.
That is so true. And that is so true for all the fields, like whatever you are doing, and like first 2 3 days you'll be imperfect, like, or maybe months, first few months you'll be imperfect, and in those months, if we are thinking, oh, this is not the right thing that we are doing, so it's just amazing, right? That people, even if they want to do something right, they still stop themselves, and I think that's where the loss is.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Because it's about thinking about the impact of, not only is it a loss to yourself, but, what's the impact to others that are really important in your life, by not doing it. If you're feeling great about yourself, then what impact does that have on other people, whether it's in your business, whether it's your son, you turn up differently. You turn up differently. You emanate joy, you emanate happiness. And that is influential to other people. Just the same as, if you turn up in an angry mood, that influences people, but not necessarily in the greatest way. If it's consistently, it's not a bad thing to show a little bit of anger, but it's when it's, consistent.
Okay. So Emma, my next question to you is, what does the action plan looks like? The most
Action
important.
plan.
The most important. Emma's like, oh.
Well, yeah. So the action plan, you start with a result. Okay, so you've got to get clear on the results that you want. Okay,
Say that again.
and you've got to get clear on the results that you want.
Okay, you get it clear. Okay.
So you do that with your coach, just saying.
Yeah.
And and um, you know, this time of year, people are setting year goals.
Huh.
Okay, which is great. And so you can start with an overall aim for the year. Right. So you know, the biggest one this time of year for a lot of people is around losing weight.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God.
And
Okay, it's good to know it's a universal problem.
yes, you know, we've all had a good holidays and maybe too good a holidays. So, you know, that becomes the focus for a lot of people. And most people, you know, the stats out there are most people by the end of January, beginning of February have given up. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And the gym industry is loving it because they've still got people paying for gym memberships. But anyway, that's a whole different story. Um, the first thing is to get clearer on, you know, by the end of the year, so this time next year, well, a few days, you know, 31st of December, what do you want to be celebrating? Okay.
So
In
this is
your life, what do you want to be celebrating? So, you know, it could well be, I want to be celebrating that I've released 20 kilos or 10 kilos or whatever it is. Okay. Or it could be, I want to have earned another 30,000 by the end of this year. Whatever it is, it needs to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time defined, which is the acronym SMART. Okay. And that's for your year. Now, if you start a year result and you just, it's a little bit too far really for people to keep focused on. So then what you want to do is break it down into 30, 60, or 90-day goals.
okay.
So the easiest one to look at is, you know, is I want to release 12 kilograms of weight by the end of the year. So that works out roughly every 90 days, I need to have lost 4 kilograms.
We have to be very specific. We can't be, I mean, what I'm learning about action plan is we have to be specific. We have to train our brain to be specific.
Yeah. And whether that's money, whether that's weight, whether that's whatever it is, your goal, it needs to be specific. And because, you know, that's our logical brain will work with that much better because you can measure your progress. You know, the worst thing is when you set goals and you're like, oh, and this is the issue is people don't write it down and they don't measure it. And so what happens is it's just this thing and you're going, I want to lose another 4 kilos and it's not working because after 2 weeks, it's not working. Why is it not working? Or after 3 weeks, you know, I'm ready to go back into eating how I was, you know, because it's just not clear. You haven't got it in front of you. But the other big thing that is missing from people's action plans is their why, their purpose. Why is it important?
Why it is important? Why it is important to lose weight? Why it is important? Okay. My God, that's such a good question because that can answer the things which are in your head or in your heart. Like why it is important? Is it important because of my ego or is it important because it really means something to me? Wow, why it is important?
And again, most people don't think about that. And yet, you know, it's one of those things that when you when you've achieved something, right, with almost automatically without thinking about it, it's because you've been really clear on why it's important to you. Right? Your belief in it is so rock solid.
And that's why
Like there's no doubt.
and that's why it doesn't feel like a goal, because it's just there.
It's just there. It's just in alignment. It's who you are, but underneath it, unconsciously, there is this really firm belief that you know you can do this.
Wow.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Please.
So I'm a fan of Tony Robbins. Okay. And when I first went to a first live event, which was in London, and it's called Unleash the Power Within, I just had, it almost felt like an innate and just like a something beyond me feeling, okay? And I hadn't expressed it to anyone that somehow I was going to meet him, right? I didn't know how. I wasn't going into the detail. I was just like, just got this feeling. And usually at those events, you can't, unless you're at the front, you can't get anywhere near him.
Yeah.
And as I was leaving, my daughter, who was a lot younger then, also said to me, "Mummy, I've got a feeling you're going to meet Tony Robbins." I was like, "Oh, so have I," right? And anyway, went up there, and didn't really think about it that much. And I met up with I went to the event on my own, and I met up with some other wonderful souls, and me and this one lady, there was an opportunity where you could kind of go to the front and dance, okay? And we were there dancing around, being crazy, having fun.
Yeah.
And she went, "Look, there's a gap," because people started drawing back, for whatever reason. And she pushed me forward. And I was right at the front of the stage. And at this point, Tony was going around and, shaking hands with people. I became a complete, like, young girl again, being a complete raving fan, going, "Tony, Tony, Tony." And he leant over and he gave me a kiss on the cheek. Boom. Right?
Wow.
Just because I just had, and I can't, see, sometimes with goals, we become so fixed on the goal, right? And so in our heads about trying to work it out that we miss opportunities that would also help us get there, right? What I mean by that is when you focus so much on I've got to get 20 kilograms, I've got to get 20 kilograms, without kind of being really aligned with why this is so important to you, that emotional feeling you're going to get when you do it, or that pain you're going to feel if you don't do it. When we're so focused on that outcome and just the tasks to get it done there, quite often we miss so much opportunity. With this, with this experience, if I had written it down, I am going to meet Tony Robbins, and this is how I'm going to do it, right? I would have probably missed that opportunity. But what I was focused on, I just had that feeling I'm going to meet him. I don't know how, I don't know when. I just know in my heart of hearts that I'm going to meet him. And I did.
And you did.
It all aligned. And, the sense of like, whoa, didn't want to wash my cheek for a week.
Yes.
So there's something about, yes, we need to get clear on our goals and have something to aim for, but we mustn't get tied to the outcome and just say there's only these ways of meeting it.
Yes.
There's lots of research now about the athletes that finally get to their Olympic gold medal. And they get depressed afterwards because they've achieved their ultimate. But actually it's about the journey. It's about the journey there. It's about the why this is so important to you.
So I should be asking myself this question: why is journalism important to me? Why being a journalist important to me? And not just like that I want to be at a certain position, but why the journey, right? And same way, a doctor or an engineer, like, why is this important to me?
Yeah. and how am I going to enjoy the journey?
And how am I
What's
doing?
going to be the fun things I'm going to do along the way to achieving this? You know, and I feel this. So, you know, I had, like I said, I've had a long history in health and mental health and social care services over here. And, you know, towards the end, I wouldn't say it was always like this, but towards the end, I was fed up. I was not being my best self, you know, and, you know, having discovered the coaching through management and then having my own health and fitness coach and things, you know, it was opening my mind to this is somehow my calling, but I didn't know how I was going to get there, you know, because I have a very secure job and very, you know, regular money. And, you know, part of my personality is I'm very stable. You know, that's part of who I am. So that kind of, you know, framework, as it were, of being employed was, you know, was safe for me and comfortable. But I knew in my heart of hearts that I needed to do something different. And because I was focused on doing something different, an opportunity came up. And, you know, through my coach at that time, which was a different coach by this stage, and, you know, she pushed and encouraged me to go for it. And I did. And it paid off.
Wow.
And now I do a job which I love.
And you are
It's not a job.
yeah, and you are impacting so many people, like in such a positive way. I mean, really. Emma, what is chunking?
So chunking is, you know, we have these lists in our head on a daily basis, okay, of all the things we've got to do, all the tasks.
Okay.
And so what I like to do on a daily basis is I've got this, you know, this whole thing going around in my head. And if I don't write it down, back to writing it down, if I don't write it down, then I end up feeling overwhelmed and stressed.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So you write it down. So I write down, you know, everything I want to do. Some of that will be relating to actions from my action plan. Some of it will be my, you know, daily chores that, you know, just got to be done. But whatever it is, you just write it down. Okay. No editing what you're writing, just write down whatever's in your brain, just get it on paper that you've got to do. Okay. All right. Then I'll take a breather. Now some people will be able to do it straight away, but for me, it works best if I take a breather, step away, come back, and then start seeing the pattern. What's the patterns that I can chunk together, so put together in a group? So rather than having a list of 20 things, I have a list of 4 things that I want to get done. So instead of planning in 20 individual items, there will be groups that kind of make sense. So I mentioned chores, okay? So that could go under the, I've got to do roughly 2 hours on household today, rather than I've got to do 30 minutes of hoovering, 10 minutes of grocery shopping, a few minutes of dusting. You know, instead of that, it becomes right, I need 2 hours today to get that done. Okay. That's my chunk. Okay. So I need to schedule that in. Okay. All right. So you might have lots of different work things to do. So, you know, I know you've got your podcast, you've got your book at some point, you've got, you know, you've got your filming, you know, there's a lot editing, there's lots of things that, you know, so if you, the what, sorry? My son. Your son, yeah. And all the things that go with that, get him back, make sure he's at school, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So when you list those individual things, there might be a chunk, right, this is podcast work today. And in that, I've got to complete those 4 or 5 actions, but it's just, I'm going to put it as a chunk in my diary that is podcast work. Okay. There is prioritizing as well. But it immediately reduces the stress and the overwhelm, because instead of having 20 things, you've got 4 or 5 things to do. Yeah. So and then you look at your diary and you're like, okay, today I've only got spare 3 or 4 hours. Okay, which of my priorities I've got to chunk in today? What can wait till tomorrow? Wow, interesting. So yeah, so you're right. Like if you're doing podcasts, then we put editing, we put shooting, we put makeup, everything in that chunk. And then it's up to us how much time we take to finish that chunk, right? Okay.
Okay, wow. Rather than putting them like as list, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Emma, thank you so much. Oh my God, yeah. It's all mindset.
It is all mindset,
It is.
and these things that I'm talking about in terms of action plans um chunking and that they're just tools.
Hmm.
There are many different tools out there. These are the ones that I prefer and I've seen work best with my clients.
Emma,
You
I
know.
want to ask you a very, very important question, which, at some point of time we all deal with, some emotional trauma, some kind of trauma.
Mm.
How do you stop your clients to go back in the past?
Good question. Um, so I would say there's different levels of trauma and grief and emotions, like you say. So one of the things I'm always really clear about is that I'm not here to say that your life is going to be perfect.
Hmm.
Far from it.
Hmm.
I'm not here to say that you're going to be in a happy place all of the time, no matter what's going on, because that's not realistic. We're human beings and we have emotions.
Hmm.
But what I'm doing is giving you the tools that you can use for yourself to pull yourself out of that state, that emotional moment for you, that instead of going on for weeks and years and years and years,
Yes.
it gets reduced.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, I mentioned counseling and therapy and stuff. There are I have clients who are in counseling or therapy and having coaching. Okay. Because there are, sometimes people do need to go and explore the deeper stuff. And that's okay. And that doesn't mean that they have to stop coaching. Depends on the person, depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be a bit confusing doing both.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, they can do both
Hmm.
together.
Hmm.
And but for me, it's about letting people express the emotion.
Hmm.
Okay. And helping them to understand how that emotion, because generally when people are stuck in the past, there's an emotion being generated. There's something they're not wanting to let go of,
Hmm.
or they're still holding on to the emotions, in terms of
Feeling safe, or
yeah,
they just don't want to forget about it.
yeah, yeah. So, I mentioned human needs earlier. So you know, sometimes people, this can sound really horrible, but I don't mean it like this. But sometimes people are stuck in a pattern because it's meeting some needs in them, right? So sometimes being stuck in something that was, life-changing and really emotive, being stuck in it means that they might get more connection with themselves, with other people. They might feel more significant, being kind of, because they've had that kind of connection coming through, but it might make them feel more significant.
Yeah.
And it also might give them some certainty because it's something they know. So
Yeah.
back to that safety bit, is something that
Yeah.
they know.
I think it's also about glamorizing your past,
Mm.
right? And you want to be in that glamour, right? So how when people come to you, how do you make sure that they're not seeking that, you know?
Well, I can't make sure that they're not seeking it, but we all need a bit of significance and a bit of connection and everything else. But what I can do is help them see how that's affecting their current life
Okay.
and finding ways with them to help them move forward from that, and creating a future which is not stuck in the past. You know, there are different, there's, I'm always reminded of when we think of our past in our heads,
Yeah.
if there are other people, so like me and my sister have talked about the past before, she remembers things completely different to the way I do at points. Sometimes we're aligned, but sometimes we're not.
Yes.
So, and it's not that either's right or wrong, it's just that that's our perception, and that's the story we've made up about that moment in time.
Yeah.
And the stories need to be empowering or they are disempowering us. So if someone is, we're talking about stuck in the past, that's likely to be disempowering them. So it's about helping them to reframe and see the power in their current situation and actually what, letting go of that story and coming up with a much better story.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it's very common, right, for people to dwell into the past. Like
Yeah, we all do.
people should not feel guilty about it, right? I mean,
No, nothing to feel guilty about, and this is why there's all these helping therapies and, coaching and that out there, is because that's what we end up doing. We end up putting all these kind of negative feelings on us, on ourselves, and berating ourselves and judging ourselves for things which are quite natural. But if they're holding you back,
yeah,
that's what's not natural.
it should not hold you back.
It shouldn't hold you back.
So what's the question people should ask themselves to come out of it? As you are the queen of questions. You're the queen of asking right questions. What kind of questions?
So, well, I mean, one of the questions is what is this memory or this feeling that I'm having about the past empowering me or disempowering me? If it's empowering me, great. If it's disempowering me, what other way could I look at this? What other way could I interpret this? Because there's always different perspectives. One of the things Tony talks about is life is happening for us, not to us. Even the tough stuff.
Even the tough stuff. So instead of asking why it is happening, why, we should be like, what can I do to empower myself? Or
yeah, and that's where I love the power of why, but why can sometimes just be keeping us there. When we really want to, when we keep asking us, and I've done this, in my past, why is this happening to me? Why am I?
Yeah.
Why is it? Why is all this bad stuff? This is the other thing we do, is we use language which is kind of always, never, these kind of absolutes, which is again BS. It's BS. Because we never always do something, and we never do something. Yeah, there are always moments in your life where you've done something differently. So it's watching that language.
Yes, watching the language. So for all those who want to move forward this year, yes, what is your message, Emma, for all of them?
Get a
coach. Do you help people identify what they truly want?
Yeah, so it's about, yes, yes, I do. That's, that is what, you quite rightly keep on about the questions, and it is the power of questions. Power of questioning is really powerful. And I think most of us know what we want, but there are things holding us back. So sometimes for some people, just I've had clients where they've just like, I've never said that out loud before.
I'm sure I must have said that to you too.
Maybe.
How do you know, Emma? Yes, because you can see a pattern, right?
Yeah, it's about spotting, and that's what's hard to do for ourselves, and that's why why coaching is so great, because it's hard for us to spot our own patterns, because our brains like to keep us where we are. Yeah. So
yeah, which the other person can do for you, right?
Yeah, but I do appreciate that not everyone can afford a coach, and there are lots of resources out there. For sure, in terms of that's what's so great about the internet. So many resources.
Yes. So coming back to my question, for all the people who want to achieve their goals this year, what's one message that you have for them?
Yeah, so in terms of achieving your goals, write it down. Get clear on why it's really important to you, that, you know, that real kind of emotional reason for it happening, both the pleasure and the pain, and then have fun with it. Get creative. Don't be, you know, just stuck with, I've got to do this, this, and this to get to it. Be open to, there's many ways to achieve it. So just get 100% aligned that this is what you really want. This is what you really value in your life. And be open to all those opportunities that will come your way. Say yes more.
Oh, Emma, what a great interview. My God.
Oh,
Yeah, I am so
fun.
I'm so happy, and I'm just like really happy because I really wanted people to watch it, especially, the beginning of the year, so that they have
Yeah.
some guidance, and I'm just so thankful to you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. My pleasure. Anytime.
You have to come back again.
We do one at the end of the year. We can do celebrations, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And yeah, you have to, yes, people need to know that they need to celebrate,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Celebrate the wins. Yeah, I forgot that bit.
Yeah. I think
So, but yeah,
celebrate the wins every week or something.
yeah, every day.
Every day.
Every
Yeah.
day. You
Yes.
know, the reason why, you know, gratitude journals are so good is because it's about celebrating every day the things that you've done, because we're just wired to look at all the negative stuff. You know, our brains will do that quite easily, but you've got to train it to focus on all the great stuff that you do every day, because that will help you enormously with your enjoyment of life, your happiness in life,
Yeah.
your confidence in life. And I think, you know, there's things about when you change your habits, you rewire your brain, you know, the neuroscience of rewiring your brain. When you change your habit and you do something more and more consistently, then you get a different neural pathway in your brain. Okay. And so by, you know, continually celebrating on a daily basis, will rewire your neural pathways as well.
So we need to celebrate this podcast.
We need to celebrate the podcast. Of course.
Yeah, we need to celebrate this because,
Yeah.
it's a high point for me.
And for me, you know, both, you know, in terms of knowing that this was something you really loved and wanted to do, and now you're doing it.
Yes.
And also for being invited and being given the opportunity to, you know, be asked questions and be part of it. I love it.
Yeah,
Great.
me too. Thank you so much, Emma. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Okay, Emma, thank you so much for enlightening us.
Oh, thank you, Shruti. Have an amazing day.